Hello, welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today I'm making one of two things and I'm not sure which it's going to turn out to be yet. I'm either going to be making some sort of banana wine or I'm going to be making a banana brandy. Now the reason I don't know which is because distilling alcohols in the UK, whether for your own consumption or whether you're selling it, you need a license. So I obviously don't have a license to be able to distill my own wine, distill my own alcohols. However, I do know of a few people who are relatively close who actually do have licenses to be able to do it. So I'm going to talk to them and see if they will allow me to either watch them do it and maybe record them distilling it, or whether they'll even just distill it for me. I'm not 100% sure whether they will at all or not, but it's worth asking. Otherwise it will just be a banana style alcohol made with champagne yeast, etc. Now this is going to be multiple parts because I haven't got long enough in this chunk to be able to do the entire process recorded start to finish, so I'll cut it off halfway through. Whether that's just before the bottling process or whether that's just before the distilling, I don't know. But it'll be around about the second or third week where I'll cut it off and we'll go on to the next, maybe next week's worth of video will be the second half. I honestly don't know. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this one, hope you follow along. If you haven't liked or subscribed and all that sort of jazz, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, let's get on. Okay, so these are the bananas I'm going to be mushing up and making into a wine or brandy. Okay, there's some oranges too. I can't pull the wool over your eyes. Any hoodles. What I'm going to use a potato ricer to do it, but you can use a meat grinder, or if you want, you could possibly use a food processor. But I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't used one before, and sometimes using something like that can change the chemical makeup of it. So I would go with the ricer or a meat grinder. Okay, that is just about 5 kilograms of mushed up banana. So let's go on to the next bit. Okay, next I'm going to add 3.5 kilograms of sugar, and I'm going to add about 4 litres of water, and I'm going to boil it all up. Now I was going to add strawberries to this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to boil this up as is. But I need to stir it really well first because you don't want to burn the banana to the bottom. I may end up having to add a little bit more water as well. See what consistency it is at the end. Yeah. Gonna add 1 more litre. Right, now you want this on a low boil. You do not want to burn anything to the bottom. And again, you want to stir this as often as possible because you do not want anything to burn to the bottom. Because basically you'll end up making a caramel. Right, it's the next day and I didn't continue filming last night because I got too tired, but basically I got the banana concoction up to boiling, and it was a nice rolling boil for about 15 minutes, and I made sure I was stirring constantly because you do not want any of it to boil to the burn to the bottom, otherwise you get this nasty flavour throughout everything you do. Right, so now today I need to get it into demi-johns, and I need to get it to start being an actual alcohol rather than just a sugary banana mixture. Now yesterday you will have noticed I wasn't very up on hygiene, as in I wasn't sanitizing everything I touched, etc, etc, and that was because I knew I was boiling it up. It doesn't matter, but from this point on we need to be really, really careful with any kind of bacteria or anything getting into it. So I need to sanitize the entire workstation, sanitize everything I'm going to be using, and like the demijohns need to be absolutely spotlessly clean. So I'm going to do all that and just take for granted it is all as clean as possible, you know. And then I will be adhering to a lot of different hygiene things that I use when making wines. You'll have your own little rituals on what you have, where you have it. Some things will stay in the cleaning solution until you need them, etc, etc. You'll work that out as you do it. I'm going to go off and do all that, and then I'll show you what we need to do with the actual mixture and what we're going to do next. Right, so next I'm going to fill each one of these up to probably the halfway point with this, and we'll see how much more we got left. Because it's quite dilute at the moment, I wouldn't want to put this anywhere near a still or anything like that, because you'd end up just having, you know, a solid lump. So yeah, I'm going to fill them half up, and then if I need any more demijohns, I'll get them and fill it up, and then we'll sort out the yeast and the water. Right, I'm just boiling up about 10 litres of water, which should be enough to fill all 5 of the demijohns. And I'm going to add a bit more sugar to this, so that should bring the amount of sugar in the demijohns to about 1 kilogram, and maybe a little bit over than that. And then I'm going to start adding the yeast. Right, I'm going to add another 2 full kilograms of sugar to this 10 litres of water. I'm just going to make sure that dissolves, and then I'm going to turn it off and let it cool a little bit, and go to the next step after that. Now this is the yeast I usually use, and sadly this is all out of date. This is like a year out of date, and this is like 6 months out of date. So I'm actually going to try and activate it, see if it is still alive. If not, I'll have to wait till tomorrow. The order was supposed to have already come, but it hasn't arrived, so I'm going to have to use this, and I'll show you how you check to see if your yeast is still alive. Okay, so here's a bowl of sugar water, and it is, I can just feel the temperature when I put my finger in it. It's not hot, it's, you know, it's lukewarm if anything. So I'm going to add a packet of my yeast, and I'm going to leave it, I'm going to mix it in, and I'm going to see if this yeast is still alive. If it is, whoopee-doo. If it's not, damn it. I should so have mixed that while pouring. Right, now I'm just going to leave that for about 10 minutes. If it starts to bubble on the top, then we know we're happy and we can get going. If not, we will have to leave it and use the yeast that we're getting tomorrow. Okay, it's been about half an hour and we have bubbles. It's not as vigorous as it would have been had it been a new batch. Okay, because the yeast is viable, all I'm going to do now is fill them up to about here with the rest of our sugar water, and that the sugar water is still warm, and then I'm just going to add the yeast to these, and I'm going to add a bit of yeast nutrients as well. Right, now I'm going to wipe down the whole area and wipe down all of the demijohns because I don't like them getting all sticky and horrible. Right, today I'm going to be testing with my refractometer and my hydrometer for the specific gravity and the Brix numbers. And I'm only going to do it in one, I can't be bothered to do it the whole lot. I'm wicked lazy and I don't normally do it at all anyway. But I'd just like to see how close they are in values once it finishes at the end and see which one I prefer, because I've never been very good at this part of it. exactly 1.100. So next we're going to do the bricks calculation. So we've got that amount on there. I'm going to close it up. 24.2 bricks. Let's see if we can get you guys to see it. So what was that? 24.2 bricks. I have 4 of these sachets, one of which I've tested and it's in the bowl. They're out of date. And then I've got this one that's even more out of date, which is literally February 2021. But I've got to use it, so I've got no choice. And I've also got no blinking yeast nutrients, which I thought I had a whole bag left of. So that's a pain, so I'm going to have to buy another one of them. I'm going to start by putting the one that we've activated into here. And you go, my beauties. You get making me some nice alcohol. Then for the other 3, I'm going to just put the yeast in as is. Then with the really out of date one, I'll just put a cross by it so I know which one's which. Back in the day I made a really big mistake by mixing these up, by twisting them on the counter, like, what's the word? Reciprocating them on the counter. And I literally basically sanded out a groove. So I would advise, if you like being married, not to do that. Even if you don't like being married, don't do that because it just causes problems. Now I'm going to mix them up. These are quite nice and warm from the sugar water I've just put in, so it should give them quite a nice starting point. Right, let's go and give them their forever home. Well, forever until I decide to drink them. Right, they're going to stay here till they start fermenting, and I try and keep them as far away from everything as they can, so they don't, if they do explode, they don't explode on me. Not that that's ever happened. Do not check out the wine explosion video. Yeah, keep them between 20 and 30 degrees. Try not to let them drop below about 15. This is degrees C, I don't know in Fahrenheit. Yeah, don't let them drop too much because you'll have problems with the fermentation process. The yeast just doesn't decide to be your friend anymore. Right, I'll be back when anything's happened. I've come home and they are bubbling away very, very nicely. Except that one, which has exploded. And it's gone over there, and it's gone up the curtain, all the way up to there, and so on. But at least this time it's not blackcurrant, I can just clean it out easily. But I think these airlocks sometimes just get full, and they just clog up, it sort of bubbles up through. But these ones won't, they'll just stay like that, they won't bubble any higher than that. I don't get it. Sometimes they bubble over, sometimes they don't. Right, I've cleaned it all up, and I do genuinely think it was my fault. I think I've overfilled them again. I vaguely remember that I should have had it about down to here maximum because they always overflowed, but who cares? Right, couple of bits of housekeeping. I wanted to say, these are the yeasts I always buy, and I have done since starting this, and it's Cross My Loof Brew, and I'm going to put a link in the description. These guys are fabulous. They always send you a little personalised message to say it's on the way, and you know, they're just quite a down-to-earth company, but they've always got me the stuff I need immediately. Even during lockdown they were able to help out as much as possible, so they're really good people, and you can always talk to them as well, which is helpful. Any hoodles. I also got this from Wilkinson's this morning, which is yeast nutrients, which I wanted to use last night, but I'd obviously ran out. So I'm going to put a bit of yeast nutrient in now, and I'm just going to mix them all back up. But it was a good idea to try the yeast last night because all of them are bubbling now, even the one that I thought would definitely not work. Had it not worked, I could have just put more yeast in because you can't really have too much yeast. It would have just slowly died and dropped to the bottom anyway and become sediment that you get rid of later on in time anyway. So I wouldn't worry. If your yeast didn't work, just put some more in. I'm not going to record it, but I'm going to just put 1 rounded teaspoon per demijohn. It's basically 1 per 5 gallons-ish. And it's all a bit rough, you know, rough and ready. So it's around that. Okay, so like I normally do, I accidentally filled them all up too much. So I've got a couple like this, which are a lot clearer than the actual banana ones. And that's because I've topped them up with apple juice. So this will be like a banana and apple, and then these ones will be banana. Now they have nearly finished doing their magic. Every so often we get the odd bubble out of them, so I'm going to leave them probably for 1 more week to make sure that they're completely fermented and done all their magic stuff, and then I will go on to the next stage, whether that is having them distilled for me or whether it's just bottling them up. I still don't know. I've spoken to a few people, but I'm waiting on their response. Okay, so that is the other ones, and this one here is the one as well that's got apple juice in it. The ones at the back all are just pure banana, but just every so often we get a bubble from them, so I just like to leave them for the longest possible. Okay, there you are. That's where I'm going to have to leave it for today. Hopefully between this episode and the next one on the wine, I'll have heard back from someone about whether we can distill it or not. Sadly, you know, if it was legal in this country, I'd just distill it myself. I'd make something to distill it, or buy something to distill it. When I was looking a few years ago, they're not actually that expensive to buy all the bits and bobs. But yeah, sadly, without a license, it's breaking the law, and I'm not into breaking the law, to be honest. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next week. Bye for now.